Losing a body part creates all sorts of obstacles when it comes to earning a living or achieving artistic greatness, but the rock stars on this list have all overcome missing and damaged body parts to achieve musical glory. Almost anybody can pick up a guitar and learn to play it. However, a handful of guitarists go on to form bands and make enduring art that brings them fame and fortune. But only a precious few of those musicians go on to inspire a thriving subculture, a la Jerry Garcia, the merry leader of the Grateful Dead, the original jam band, and object of near worship by its army of deadheads. Garcia and company trucked along on a seemingly endless tour for 30 years, from 1965 until Garcia's death from a host of medical problems. And to think he became one of the world's most acclaimed and well-known guitarists with only 9 fingers. When they were both kids, Garcia's older brother, Tiff, cut off Jerry's finger with an axe. Of course, it was accidental, kind of. Tiff related on the Garcia tribute DVD Move Me Brightly. He was putting little pieces of twigs on the sawhorse or whatever, and I was chopping them in half, making kindling. He'd put his finger there and take it away. That happened a dozen times. Finally, I just nailed him, so they had to remove it.
It was my fault because I did it.
Well,
But I wasn't thinking about the consequences. I was just playing the game he wanted me to play.
In the early 1970s, Ozzy Osbourne and Black Sabbath pioneered heavy metal, combining a loud, dark, and grungy sound with wailing lyrics about war, death, mental illness, and other things contemporaries like Three Dog Night didn't care to cover. It's fitting then that one of the chief architects of metal, Black Sabbath guitarist Tony Iommi, paid the bills before his career took off by working in a sheet metal factory in the English industrial city of Birmingham. Iommi worked as a welder, but one day he was moved to a different part of the factory and put to work on a large guillotine-looking press. As Iommi explained to Loudwire, "I don't know what happened. I must have pushed my hand in. Bang! It came down. It just took the ends off. As I pulled my hand back, it sort of pulled them off. I was left with 2 stalks. The bone was sticking out of the top of the finger." Doctors cut off the bones and told Iommi that without a full hand of fingers, his guitar playing days were probably over, a fate he couldn't accept. So instead, he created prosthetic tips out of everything from melted plastic to cloth. Finally deciding to cut up bits of a leather jacket gave him the leverage to grip down on guitar strings. In 1997, the humorous rap rock group The Bloodhound Gang released the single Why Is Everybody Always Picking on Me? It included a shouted refrain that went, "The drummer from Def Leppard's only got one arm." So what's that about? Well, they're picking on Rick Allen, who was really left with one upper appendage after a New Year's Eve 1984 car accident.
it's just surreal. When I think back on that moment, it's almost like it didn't happen to me. It seems like it was some sort of made-up story.
While driving on the A57 motorway outside Def Leppard's hometown of Sheffield, England, Allen's Corvette Stingray slipped out of his control. It struck a brick wall at high speed, and the impact came at such tremendous force that it unbuckled Allen's seatbelt. As the car expelled Allen via the sunroof, his arm got caught on the seatbelt and detached from the rest of his body. Amazingly, Allen spent only a month in the hospital and resumed his duties behind the kit for Def Leppard in August 1986. He obviously couldn't play the drums the way he used to, so ever since, he's been assisted by a pedal-powered electronic drumming system. Buried under black and white face makeup that presented him to the world as the Star Child, Kiss singer and guitarist Paul Stanley played some of the loudest music in the world to arenas packed full of adoring fans in the 70s and beyond. Kiss concerts probably shattered more than a few eardrums, but long before he rocked and rolled all night and partied every day, Stanley began life with major hearing problems. Stanley told CNN that he was born with a level 3 microtia, a congenital deformity of the outer ear cartilage. The condition left the young Stanley virtually deaf on his right side, and it also gave him an underdeveloped mound of flesh where his outer ear would have been. As an adult, Stanley corrected both issues. Along with receiving implanted hearing aids, a surgeon removed cartilage from the singer's rib cage and made an artificial ear out of it, which was then grafted to Stanley's head. Hip-hop artist Fetty Wap, real name Willie Maxwell II, broke out in a big way in 2015 with his chart-topping double-platinum self-titled debut album, along with 3 smash hit singles, Trap Queen, 679, and My Way. Fetty Wap rocks a unique appearance, which includes multiple tattoos on his face and neck, along with a left eye that doesn't look like most other people's. The reason? That eye socket is virtually empty. The rapper told TMZ, "I was born with glaucoma and I lost the eye at 6 months. I got reconstructive surgery when I was 12, and I just stopped wearing the prosthesis because I didn't want to look like everybody else." Meshuggah is among the loudest, heaviest, and most metal bands that ever metaled. The Swedish outfit has been a going concern for more than 30 years now, combining unique rhythms and jazz elements with some good old-fashioned thrash to create a distinctive, rumbling sound all its own. A lot of that auditory assault comes courtesy of founding member Fredrik Thordendal, named by Guitar World as one of the best heavy metal guitarists of all time. But in the early 90s, well after the band had established an international following, Thordendal suffered a setback. While working on a carpentry project, he sliced off the tip of the middle finger on his left hand. Doctors sewed it back on, leaving the damaged finger and index finger the same length. More importantly, he was able to play again. And this story is way more metal than anything Meshuggah ever recorded. Okay, well, almost. Les Paul isn't just the name of an extremely famous solid-body electric guitar favored by countless rock stars past and present. It's also the name of a man, the man who helped design that sweet axe for Gibson back in the early 1950s. Up to that point, Les Paul had been a successful jazz and pop guitarist and recording wizard. He even hit number 1 in 1945 with It's Been a Long, Long Time, a collaboration with Bing Crosby. His career was on the rise until it was cruelly interrupted by a 1948 automobile accident. His elbow was completely shattered, and surgeons couldn't properly rebuild it. Facing a future without playing guitar, his means of financial support and artistic fulfillment, Paul talked doctors into fusing what was left of his elbow at a 90-degree angle, the guitar-holding position. After he recovered, Paul married singer Mary Ford, and the duo racked up a slew of hits and starred in an NBC radio show together. Jim Croce absolutely ruled the music charts in the early 1970s. A folky pop singer in the vein of James Taylor or Neil Young, his rollicking story songs captivated audiences. His 1972 and 1973 albums, You Don't Mess Around with Jim and Life and Times, were smash hits and generated successful tunes like Time in a Bottle and Bad Bad Leroy Brown. That upward trajectory came to a tragic halt in September 1973, when the 30-year-old singer-songwriter died in a plane crash. Before Croce's life and career was cut short, he achieved success despite a major physical setback. According to a 1973 feature in Guitar Player, Croce played gigs at night and worked various jobs during the day. During one of those, he accidentally smashed his right index finger in a mishap involving a sledgehammer. Unable to use that very important finger in his guitar playing any longer, he developed a distinctive picking style that involved his other 3 fingers, as well as his thumb. In the summer of 1969, the hard rock band Mountain secured both its legacy and its baby boomer generational cred forever when it played a set at the Woodstock Festival. The group's biggest hit, the riffing cowbell-heavy Mississippi Queen, reached number 21 on the Billboard Hot 100 and endured as a classic rock radio staple and beer commercial background music. Founder, guitarist, and singer Leslie West kept playing music in various bands and as a solo act even after a personally devastating partial leg amputation in 2011. West spoke to Billboard in the aftermath of the surgery, which saw doctors remove the lower half of his right leg due to the ravages of diabetes. He told the outlet he was understandably shocked when he realized what had happened, saying, "I cried a couple times. I looked down. Where is it?" West now gets around with the aid of wheelchairs and considers himself lucky. After all, he doesn't need a leg to play guitar. He told Billboard, "It's a good thing it wasn't one of my arms, then I'd really be f***ed." The late Dr. John, real name Malcolm John Rebennack, took the unique sound of New Orleans, put a pop rock spin on it, and brought it to the mainstream in the 60s and 70s. With a little bit of blues, a little bit of jazz, and a little bit of funk, the raspy-voiced Big Easy icon is perhaps most known for his 1973 top 10 hit, Right Place, Wrong Time, notable for Dr. John's blazing keyboard work. He came relatively late to key-bass instruments after he'd established a career as a live and session musician, but he kind of had no choice. In a 1960 show in Jackson, Mississippi, Dr. John was playing his first main instrument, the guitar, with the band. A fight broke out, somebody pulled out a gun, the gun went off, and the bullet struck Dr. John in the ring finger of his left hand. It's amazing the force didn't blow the thing clean off, but Dr. John couldn't move it for so long that his guitar work suffered, and so he switched to piano and keyboards and did pretty well for himself in the long run. Of all the rap rock acts that stormed the album charts in the TRL studios in the late 90s and early 2000s, Korn sat at the top of the tattooed heap. Hardcore Korn fans couldn't get enough of the gravelly vocals of Jonathan Davis, the low-end grooves of bassist Reginald Fieldy Arvizu, and the intricate guitar work of James Monkey Schaefer. According to Leah Furman's book, Korn, Life in the Pit, a teenage Schaefer actually started playing guitar in the first place as a form of physical therapy. But why did he need therapy, you ask? Well, one night, 14-year-old Monkey tried to sneak out of his house to attend a keg party. As he attempted to ride away, the bike chain came loose and started making a loud, repetitive noise. Seeking to silence the bike so as not to get caught by his parents, he grabbed hard at the chain. And that's when the chain and the teeth of the sprocket on the moving bicycle trapped young Monkey's left index finger, mangling it horribly. While he initially had no feeling in the partially severed finger, doctors were able to save it and thought sensation would return faster if the teen played an instrument as therapy.
You need to rehabilitate your fingers somehow, like take up an instrument. I was like, how about guitar? I thought right away, I thought about that guitar being in the closet. So, that's perfect.
Check out one of our newest videos right here. Plus, even more grunge videos about your favorite musicians are coming soon. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the bell so you don't miss a single one.